You're listening to Instead We Made a Pod, a Eurovision podcast brought to you by the Phoenix ESC.
Instead We Made a Pod. My name is Adam and I'm here with my co-host MJ. MJ, how are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm all right. Bit of a chaotic beginning to proceedings this time. I managed to get home just as we were due to start recording. I forgot there was a football match on near where I live. But all good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to get into Eurosong, which in past years has been a bit of a chore to try and get into. But this year, I'm feeling good. Like, the Bambi effect is really showing. The national final is great.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is the strongest Eurosong that certainly I can remember in a while.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So we are joined today by someone who probably knows Eurosong better than anyone at this point. I feel like they've dedicated the last few weeks of their life to Eurosong. A great friend of the pod and also an absolutely amazing podcaster herself with the Eirevision gang. They've been doing amazing work in the lead up to Eurosong. So Alex Basmati, hello, how are you?
Hello, what an intro. I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
No, I won't. I'm savouring that. I might write it down. Thank you.
But how have you been, Alex? We're 1 week off of Eurosong, so how are you feeling about everything?
I'm so excited. I can't believe this year is just going so quick. It feels like only yesterday that we finally had Bambi as a hope for Eurosong last year. And now here we are a full year on and looking at a whole new group of acts, which, as you said, I'm also quite happy with in general. I don't really know what way it's going to go as well, but I think in a good way, if that makes sense. I'm not like, oh dear, what way is this going to go? It's more like, okay, I'm quite excited. I can't predict just yet, but I think it's going to be a really, really good watch. So thank you so much for having me. I wouldn't rather have any other episode than be on the Eurosong episode. So thank you very much.
Best national final of the year, as always.
Dead right.
I mean, look, as you've said many, many times on Twitter, the winner of a talk show special last year managed to beat out Melfest, Sanremo, UMK, or not UMK, yeah. We beat Finland.
UMK as well.
Hell yeah.
So at the end of the day, you know what? It's from very small beginnings, but I do feel the same. I think it's so wide open this year, but I think in other years it was wide open and we were kind of dreading it. Like, I look back to Public Image Limited and we were all slightly terrified that maybe John Lydon's name would push him enough over the edge to send him to Eurovision. But this year, yeah, I don't think it's dreading the result as much as it's a wide open year because the quality has just gone up so much. MJ, as an outsider, because obviously me and Alex have our biases, how are you thinking about Eurosong and kind of the trajectory that the Irish bands are seeing?
I am really, really excited and intrigued by the direction it's going to go in this year. For me, there is a clear winner and a clear song that should be sung, which we will get into as we discuss the songs. But I do agree that I think the overall selection is so much stronger. And I think that's a trend that we've seen emerging through Eurosong, Hawaii notwithstanding. Let's just not dwell on that dark point in your national finals past a bit too much. But I think that the overall package is so much stronger. And I truly do believe that we do have Bambi Thug and Doomsday Blue and how they did at Eurovision to thank for that, because I think that Bambi proved that cookie cutter, bland, radio friendly isn't the way to go, and that the only way to really make a mark is to take big risks. And they did that. And I think that what we can see from the sort of overall package is that that's something that it seems like Michael Keeley and, you know, judging by the overall quality of songs, it's clearly something that people have really responded to. And I think quite a lot of the national finals so far, in my opinion, have been quite a weak overall offering. And I think if you'd have told me sort of 3 years ago that Eurosong would end up being one of the strongest, I wouldn't have believed you. So it's really nice to see it from an outsider's perspective. It is, actually.
I don't think me and Alex would have believed you either if during the we're going to get out of it years that we were actually going to get out of the Eurosong kind of lull that it kind of came back with, and we really do have one of the stronger ones this year. I mean, you do look at the quality overall, and there definitely seems to have been a dip within a lot of the national finals this year, and Eurosong just keeps going from strength to strength. So, and also, MJ, myself and you will be in the audience. We will be attending Eurosong. Alex, I know you're on the hunt for a Eurosong ticket at the moment, so I won't dwell on it too much.
I think we should be good. I think we got some good news, so I think we should all be there, hopefully.
So we'll all be there, fingers crossed, and hopefully the results goes our way on the night. But without further ado, I think we should get into the songs. So what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards on the way the songs were revealed on RT. So anyone who was following will know that the songs were premiering every day on RT Radio 1 on the Ray Darcy show. There was a song a day 2 on the Thursday, I think, and it was kind of like it's still a little bit of a budget UMK kind of reveal that we've got going on. So hopefully, with Eurosong going from strength to strength, we can see maybe some changes down the line in how the songs are released as well, because it can be a bit of a painful 45 minutes of a listen for people who aren't interested in your regular talk radio before the Eurosong.
I don't know what you're talking about. I absolutely love hearing someone talk about, was it squirrels or mice one year before we got the song? I think it's part of the charm.
And guys, let's not forget, it was only a few years ago when they randomly dropped all the songs on the RT website on a Monday morning and said nothing else. So, even this is an improvement for Eurosong, small steps.
Yeah,
towards
it's
a bigger goal.
Every Irish Euro fan's favourite saying, baby steps, baby steps.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with the song that was released on Friday, and that was Grow by Neil. So I'm going to let Alex take the helm here first on Neil. And what are your thoughts overall?
My overall thoughts are that it is a very well put together song. It's very radio friendly. I think out of all of the songs, it's probably the most reflective of the Irish music industry, and particularly with a male vocalist. A lot of our popular Irish singers are male vocalists. If you think of Hosier, Cian de Crow, that kind of singer, I think he represents. It has been getting a bit of radio play. I believe he is on RT2's upcoming artist list, which meant that it did get played on national radio, which is a big thing for Eurosong. It's not something that we get too often. I think it's not going to be one favoured by Euro fans, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will do bad. I think a good comparison that I've come across would be Germany last year. That was a song, male vocalist, kind of a ballady but still a bit up-tempo song that the fans never really liked. But once it was on the stage and millions of people were watching it, people did pick up the phone for it. So I don't think it's a bad song. I think it's a good reflection of what the Irish music industry is. I know that's debatable if that's important or not. But to me, it does hold importance that it's authentic. And one thing to watch out for if you're watching Eurosong next week is that he is a very strong vocalist. And this is something that when it comes to Eurosong can be a challenge. We can have great songs submitted, but once you put someone up on that stage, are they going to be able to deliver it? And I know that he can. If you can go onto his Instagram, I would recommend looking at some of his highlights of his live singing. He is fantastic. And that's where I think he's kind of sweeping under the radar, because people are listening to the song saying, yeah, it's nice, but they're not really taking into account his live ability as well. And if you look at some of his credits, he's been a backing vocalist for some huge artists in the past. So I think one to watch, but I wouldn't expect this to be a Eurofan's favourite at the same time. likely not going to win, would be my guess, but I think we'll do quite well, possibly mid-table or above. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think I kind of would echo a lot of that. I mean, look, personally, male mid-tempo kind of songs like this aren't what I gravitate towards just as a listener in general. So on a personal preference, it's not really for me. But I can appreciate that, you know, this is something that is very much what you would see kind of the average Irish person that doesn't really, you know, have an interest in Eurovision or anything like that would gravitate towards. You know, if you've just got like the average viewer on the Late Late Show next Friday, there's going to be people who will hear this and it will remind them of the names you've just said, kind of the Cian de Crows or the Dermot Kennedys, and, you know, that kind of sound. It does have that very kind of radio Irish feel, the type of stuff that you would hear kind of playing on the office radio, or the same kind of music that sells out massive stadiums all around Ireland. You look at the likes of Cian de Crow, who, you know, could very easily release a song like Grow, and he sells out pretty much any stadium that he wants to in Ireland. You know, you talk about whether it's in Dublin, Limerick, Cork, he sells out everywhere he goes. He's got a massive following around the country. So I do think this will do better than the international Euro fans expect it to do. And I also do think his live vocals are, you know, they're astounding. You listen to his stuff even from The Voice of Ireland, and it was just absolutely, it blew me away. Personally, I don't think this should go to Eurovision, as much as I think he seems like a really nice guy, and I think he would be a great representative for us. I don't think the song is strong enough to have a hook to get out of a semi. I think if we still had a jury televote split in the semi, there would be more of a chance of this getting out of a semi. But in a televote only semi-final, I do think this would struggle, because I just don't know how, you know, we aren't a definite qualifier every year. We've had one qualification since 2019. So we do need something that kind of pops and sticks in people's heads. And I just don't see Neil being that contender. But all round, a very good song. And I think if we had heard this in Eurosong 2022 or 2023, we would be kind of going like, oh my God, this is great. But just with the way the standard has kind of moved up and up, it just doesn't really have the legs for me to put it quite high in my ranking. I think it's sitting at about 4th or 5th at the moment out of the 6 songs. MJ, what about you?
Yeah, I can completely echo everything that you and Alex have said. For me, this song, it's the perfect epitome of a song that's great from a kind of everyday listening headphones moment to how different that is to a song that's great for Eurovision. Sonically, I really like Growth. I think that it's a good song. I definitely agree with the comparisons. I think that it's definitely Hosier adjacent, and I do like that kind of music as well. Do I think this is competitive? No. However, do I think that this could be a bit of a dark horse and actually do better than Euro fans will be expecting? Yes. I think I can definitely see an Irish public responding better to this than people expect them to, because it does have that, you know, radio friendly, you can imagine hearing it in the car and nodding your head along to it kind of element. And when it comes to jury votes, I don't even know what to think about which way an Irish or an international jury are going to go, because last year I remember being so convinced that the international jury were going to fall head over heels for Bambi, and that was going to get their 12 points. And then it went to next in line. So I
think everyone's faces dropped when that international jury votes came through. I think we all thought it was over for a minute.
Yeah, and so I didn't make any predictions about jury votes, because everything I was convinced last year would happen with those sets of votes ended up being completely the opposite. I could almost see this being a bit like, not that they're musically the same at all, because they're not, but I could almost see this kind of getting a bit of a K-Money and MD result with Down in the Rain in 2023, where they're pretty unknown, people aren't expecting it to do well because they don't think it's the kind of thing that juries and televoters are going to respond to for Eurosong. But then they do, and it actually ends up doing a lot better than we thought.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair comparison. I think the best thing about that last year, everybody was so in shock because we thought the international jury was going to respond so well to Bambi, and then the fact that it was Deb and Adarami from Wee Wee Blogs that gave out the 12 points to next in line. It was like the whole thing was so camp. It was so camp. But I think that's our verdict on Neil. I think that's kind of across the board that we all appreciate the song, but I don't think any of us see it kind of in contention for the win. But maybe a little bit of a dark horse will do better than people expect. So we'll move on then to our next song, which is Like a Party by Emmy. MJ, do you want to get us started on Like a Party?
Oh my God, this song. This song is the most non-Eurosong entry I think I could have ever. I mean, it's the most MGP coded song, which makes sense because it's like Emmy, as in Witchwood's Emmy. I think this is so camp and I love it. And it's just such good fun. Do I think that this should represent Ireland? No, I do not. I think that we need something, I'm not Irish, but I think that Ireland needs something that's maybe more reflective of Ireland. And this is maybe not it, but am I going to be the first one on that dance floor when this comes on at a Euro Bash or a Eurofest or a Euro Club? Yes. I just think this is fun. And I too hope that Leica is having a party in the sky. I haven't thought about her in a really long time. And do you know what, Emmy? Thank you for reminding us of Leica because she deserves to be immortalized. That's all I'm going to say.
I think it's just, it's off the wall. It's just so mad that we've got a Norwegian former MGP artist singing a song about a Soviet dog in an Irish national final. The whole thing is just, it's so odd. But I also agree with you. I just find this really fun. I don't think it should represent us, but I'm like, you know what? This is a great filler song for a national final, I feel. I know some people are really not going to like this. You look at some Euro fans who really love kind of not authentic, because every song is authentic, but kind of, something with a bit more serious themes and something with more of like an ethnic ballad or something like that. But then you look at this and it's so not for some people. I know we're going to have Gotham on again for a Vidbeer episode, and for him, this is like his nightmare of a song. But, I think for some of us who do just, we want some of our Eurovision songs to be played in the club. I think this is very much there for that. It is in my top 3, and I know some people are going to judge me for that, but I just think it's really fun.
It's in my top 3 as well, and I couldn't tell you why. I don't understand.
Alex, how are you feeling about Like a Party?
Let me rain on your party now, because this is in my bottom 2. Look, when I first heard this, I was disgusted, to be honest, because I was like, what the hell? I didn't get it at all. And I love a poppy song. Like, I'm all for this kind of song. Then I read the context and everything behind it, and I finally got the lyrics. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of down for it. I think you hit the nail on the head, Adam. It's a perfect filler song for an entertainment show on RTE. It will add to the fun on the night. I think it'll break up the kind of whole... Because one thing that I was thinking as they came out, and when we got all the songs at the end of the week, I was going, okay, a lot of these are they all have this very distinct Irish flavour to them. This will at least give absolute variety on the night and make it an entertainment show. However, as you've both underlined, I don't think this can represent Ireland. I think it would be very unfair to send, particularly when you're looking at taxpayer money funding someone who has never been to Ireland to go to Eurovision for 3 weeks. I just don't think that's a fair thing to do in any case. I know that we Irish singers have represented other countries in the past, but that doesn't mean, it should be done. Yeah, so I think it's a fun song. I'm happy to dance to it on the night. I look forward to seeing it live, but I am absolutely against this going to represent Ireland in Basel. I don't think it would be fair. Even with Bambi, you saw we have a great wealth of talent and songwriters. I know that the excuse behind the song being in Eurosong for the people entering it is that one of the songwriters lives in Ireland, but there were 5 writers on this song, and most of them, I believe, are, from Scandinavia, or they're Norwegian. It doesn't sound Irish. It doesn't reflect the Irish music industry in any way. Yeah, I am not at all on board for this to go to Eurovision, but I'm on board for dancing to this in Euro Club in Basel. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah,
and
I think
it
I
is
was
my
I was
bottom
gonna
two.
say, give us one Jaeger bomb in the Odeon after Eurosong, and this comes on. We'll see that, but I do agree. I think you do raise a very fair point. I don't think the Irish public as well are going to gravitate towards someone who is very evidently not living in Ireland or not accustomed to our culture or anything like that. Kind of a blow-in in a sense.
If this was a person from Ukraine who had been living here for 3 years and had amalgamated, I would be so on board for it. I'm like, yes, let's represent all of the different cultures in Ireland. I'm so up for that. But this is someone who's never even been to Ireland. Them getting off the plane will be their first time breathing in Irish air. That is crazy. How is that going to happen?
I think I have to cringe. I forget which podcast she was doing an interview with. It wasn't the incredible Eirevision podcast, if I would remember. She said that she was going to have a sip of Guinness when she arrived. And I was like, no, that's not how you drink it. It's
Emmy,
you're
just
already...
split the G like the rest of us.
You're losing your points already, Emmy. But yeah, I don't think the Irish public are going to respond well to someone that is evidently, doesn't really have any ties. And I could see the televote tanking this a little bit, in my opinion. We'll move on to our next song then, and that is My Way by the Samantha Mumba. I'll get us started on this. If you had told me in 2022, when Eurosong came back, when we were getting the likes of, we're going to get out of it, and I'm Loving Me and Real Love in a national final, that in just a few short years, Samantha Mumba was going to be performing on the Late Late Show Eurosong, I wouldn't have believed you. After hearing My Way, I wish maybe we had kept it to the more low-key, less known singers, because this is my last place for Eurosong. Sonically, it's a bit of a mess for me. I don't hear a chorus. I don't have a structure to the song. I don't think there's a build-up. I don't think there's a climax. I don't think there's anything really. I think it's like she took 3 songs off the album that she's making, kind of threw them into a random generator and just spliced it up, and then she came out with this. I really, really don't like it, and I don't think it has anything that will hook people across Europe to voting for it. I don't think Samantha Mumba is a big enough name for people to really respond to it being like, oh my God, it's Samantha Mumba. And I think the people who are like, oh my God, it's Samantha Mumba, have heard the song and they're like, this sounds nothing like a Samantha Mumba song. It's not competitive. It's not a very well thought out or produced song. I think there's elements to it that I really, really enjoy. I think she could have come with something great with some of the elements of this song, but all of it packaged together, I find it unlistenable, really. I do really wish her all the best, and kind of this seems to be like the beginning of her comeback, but this isn't for Eurovision. Alex, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what you said. I think the production on the song, people were just so shocked at. For me, the thing that stands out the most and really summarizes the song is the last 10 seconds feature these, they're like beats that sound like they're coming from a different part of the album or a different song. that don't feature in any other part of the song. It's like a bump, 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 bump or something. And I'm like, why is that there in the last 5 seconds of the song? It sounds like it's about to go into something else. I don't understand why it's there, and I don't understand why this song was picked in general. I think she's amazing. She looks fantastic. She has such a fabulous personality. She'd be a great representative for us. But I'm disappointed with the song, and I think a lot of people are. As you said, we know her sound. It does not reflect that, what we're familiar with. And yeah, I actually recorded myself reacting to this the first time I heard it, because I knew this was going to be a big talking point no matter what she put through. So I was like, let me memorialize my reaction. And you can see the entire song. All I'm doing is going, where is this going? Is this becoming an EDM song? Is it about to pop off? But we never arrive. We never arrive anywhere. It just ends with those strange beats at the end. I don't understand it. I know someone said it sounds like something out of Pirates of the Caribbean, and unfortunately, I must agree. It sounds like something like a score to a pirate movie or something.
Maybe something with a little bit less budget than Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
Straight
To be
to
honest,
DVD.
yeah, and look, let me say, what I'm hoping, and I'm holding out hope for, is that she has something up her sleeve that will make this make more sense. And I think it's going to be the Irish dancers. I'm nearly sure what will happen on the Eurosong stage is once it gets past that first slow section, when it starts to pick up, she will have Irish dancers join her on stage, and it will become, this ode to Riverdance, which I fear maybe will grab the attention of voters on it watching the Late Late. We shall see. I hope that it turns into something epic on stage. But we did actually go and watch her perform it live in the George this week, and I can't say it lived up to what I thought it would be or that she would bring to it live.
Yeah.
So really, all I'm holding out hope for is that she has a fantastic stage show. But I agree, this is bottom of my list. Unfortunately, now it is the bottom of a good list of songs. And it's not, I don't think it's a bad song. I think it's an okay to good song, but it's not for Eurovision. This is not the place for it. And it's just so unfortunate, because we love having larger artists submit songs, but when it's not the right one, it actually creates more of an issue. Because if this stands in the way of new artists with great songs, Eurosong isn't doing what it's there to do, So I'm interested to see it on the night. But as I said, to summarise, I'm hoping she has something up her sleeve to elevate it. What about you, MJ?
Well, I think just to add to that really quickly, me and Alex both went to go see her do it in the George. And I know that, look, the George is not a professional stage or anything like that. But, obviously,
I wouldn't exactly say Eurosong is the best stage either.
You know what? You are right there. I think it's probably on par with each other. Vocally, she was very shaky as well in the George on Thursday. I thought some of those high notes she was pushing a little bit, and it wasn't sounding all that great. So I think she really does need to pull something big out of the bag to make this. Because I think as much as the Irish public would gravitate towards it, I think we're all kind of worried that the Irish public will go, big name, we'll vote for that. I do think if she sounds the way she did on Thursday night, I think some people will go, oh, God, no, I can't vote for this, because it was vocally very shaky at times. MJ, what do you think of Samantha?
There are many occasions when we do this podcast that I feel, and I've said this on previous episodes in the past, that I feel a little bit like that one picture of Grandpa Simpson surrounded by children sat in front of the lemon tree as an older person in the context of the relatively young side of the Euro fandom. And listen, you said that if you'd have been told in 2022 that Samantha Mumba was going for it, you wouldn't have believed you. If you'd have told me in the year 2000 that Samantha Mumba was going to aim to represent Ireland at Eurovision one day, I would have lost my tiny 10-year-old mind, because gotta tell you what was my jam back in the day. I listen to that song on my little portable Walkman like my life depended on it. So it's just so funny. And I'm sure Adam won't mind me sharing this. But when we heard that a big name with an international fan base had been his fast tracks through Eurosong, we were like, oh my God, what if it's CMAT? What if it's Fontaine's DC? What if it's Jazzy? So when the big reveal was that it was Samantha Mumba, I think our reaction was, oh, that's a big deal 25 years ago. And listen, that is no respect to Samantha Mumba. I think she's an absolute queen. I was such a fan of her back in the day. But I think that sending a big name from a while back, and I feel pretty confident saying this is a British Euro fan, isn't necessarily the way to go. I mean, I've just seen Ollie Alexander, who I think I would argue confidently is a more recent big name than Samantha is, absolutely flop with a televote, because if the song is not strong enough, it doesn't matter how big the name is. And I think there is maybe a concern that I appreciate that because Samantha Mumba is the most recognisable name in Eurosong this year, that means that she's going to do better. And I do think that she will do fairly well in the televote, maybe just based on name recognition. But do I think that she's going to win the televote because of that? I really don't. I don't think the song is strong enough for that. I agree with what you guys said about it being quite chaotic. It's seeming like a lot of different songs mashed into one. I also didn't really understand those beats at the end. I was listening to it on the bus the first time I heard it. And when we got to those weird beats, I actually took a headphone out because I thought I could just hear a noise elsewhere. And then I realized it was part of the song. And I was like, okay, that's a choice. But I don't think we're looking at a Wild Youth 2023 situation where they had a current enough fan base at the time that would absolutely galvanize behind them and, spend hundreds of pounds on, money voting for them. I don't think Samantha Mumba necessarily has that because, and I can say this as someone who is currently the age of people who would have been Samantha Mumba fans back in the day. I just don't think people in their 30s really care enough to do that. Yeah. We've all got bigger problems like, paying our mortgage or filing our tax return. We ain't doing that,
I do agree, MJ, but one thing I do want to flag in this instance is the demographic that watch the Late Late Show does skew older. And this is another reason I think that plays to her favour, is that the average viewer of the Late Late Show / Eurosong, because it is one of their highest watched TV shows on RT and on national TV, you're talking nearly 250,000 people watching, does skew older. And it probably does skew to her demographic. But as you said, they'll be there, they'll be watching, but are they going to vote for her no matter what is the question. That's what we're going to find out, I suppose, right?
There's a subsection, I think, of middle-aged gay men that will vote for her no matter what. I think gay men and teenage girls have the same style of fandom quite a lot of the time. And I think you will see that. But I agree, I don't think this is going to make the same kind of waves that Wild Youth made with a televote. I think, in all honesty, fingers crossed it doesn't, because I don't think the song is strong enough. But look, Samantha, best of luck on the comeback, girl. We then move on to Wednesday's song, which was Aji, Run Into the Night. I'll get us started off with this. I don't really have much to say about this song. When I originally heard it, I thought it was a step back from Too Good For Your Love. The more I've listened to it, the more it's actually grown on me, and I really enjoy it as a studio track. Now, can he do this live? It remains to be found out, because I think he didn't sound amazing in the Late Late studio. But, I do have faith that Aji will do quite well. And I think this is a step up. And it's a real grower of a song. I actually really do enjoy it. But I just don't think that it's a song for Eurovision. But as a studio track, really, really enjoy this song. MJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I loved the studio version of Too Good For Your Love. And then live, it just didn't quite live up to the expectations. I think part of that obviously might be accounted for by the sound mixing in the late studio. We often see that songs end up having a bit of a glow up post Eurosong. Bambi is an incredible example of that. But I also think that his live vocal was a bit wobbly, and I'm still concerned that that could be the case. However, I agree, actually. I think that this song has grown on me more with each listen. And I know that he took a bit of a break between sort of Too Good For Your Love and now, like, he didn't make music for a little bit and has spent maybe more time sort of developing his craft. Maybe that will have worked in his favour as well, because I think taking some time away to really hone your skills can pay dividends. And that could be something that we say, perhaps. I'm excited to see what Aji's going to do next. And Adam, I'm sure that no matter what he does, you can have a little chat in the George smoking area about the result with him. Because I
bumped into this man in the George more times than I've seen my own family at this point. It's become like a bi-monthly thing. I bump into Aji in the smoking area of the George. You know what? Dublin's gay scene is very, very small. And you bump into a lot of Eurovision-related people. You know, I bumped into former junior Eurovision acts. We actually both have MJ. I bumped into Aji quite a few times. Eric Cody is there every second week. So, Alex, have you ever bumped into Aji in the George? And what are your thoughts of Run Into the Night?
No, I haven't, but
Run Into the George.
Song. Yeah. The song itself, I actually quite like. I heard someone describe it, I think it was on Wheelie Blogs actually. They said, it doesn't sound competitive, but it's nice and it's a good song. And I think I agree with that description. I really enjoy it. I often will play the Eirevision, hashtag not sponsored, but I am shouting it out. There is an Eirevision Eurosong playlist on Spotify, and I will stick it on a couple of times a day and play through all of the songs one by one. The order that it just happens to be in is the order that the songs are released. So it starts with Bobby Arlo, then it goes to the next act, which we will talk about in a few minutes, and then it goes to Aji. And every time I hear the intro of Run Into the Night, I'm like, oh, I love this one. There's something in it that I really enjoy. I really love listening to it, and that's something that he was good at last time. Too Good For Your Love was also really well produced. If you have listened to the Eirevision interview, he did talk about how he brought in a producer that worked on Ukraine's act in Eurovision last year, so in 2024, Teresa and Maria, and actually reached out to them and said, hey, I really liked your producer. Can we get in touch? They got in touch, and he actually got that person, that guy, to work on Run Into the Night. So he obviously has a really good ear for producing and production, and that has reflected in both of his entries. As you said, MJ, what happens when you put him on that stage is going to be the question. I think it's going to go better this time because there's going to be less dancing, if any dancing. I think he wasn't natural, and he'll say that himself. With the dancing, I think it just wasn't for him. You could notice he was missing cues with cameras. I mean, I do feel really bad for the acts every time I hear how little time they have to rehearse in that studio. I mean, it is really unfortunate. They basically get 45 minutes, but I actually believe one of those three performances in that 45 minutes is going to be judged and sent off to a jury. So, you know, they're kind of stuck unless you're really, really used to working on TV or in that studio. It's going to be a struggle. So I think it will be to his benefit, this performance, because he won't be focusing on cameras and dancing as much. It'll be more around his voice. But unfortunately, I think it is a less competitive song. That doesn't mean it's a bad song. I really like it. It definitely, in my personal rankings, sits mid-table. Love listening to it. But yeah, I don't think it's competitive enough to win Eurosong. And I think if it went to Eurovision, it absolutely could be left in the semi-final, which I'm sorry, as Ireland, we just can't have that happen. We cannot have it be a sleeper and people sleep on it. It just, at the moment, doesn't have that special sauce that makes you go, yeah, that's a sure qualifiers. Love the song, but I don't think it's competitive enough.
I do think we got very lucky with the draw this year. I think we got a good few friends in the semi, voting wise and voting patterns. We will probably get some points, but we need something that can transcend across all of Europe and not just kind of rely on friendly points. I don't see Run Into the Night really grabbing a lot of Europe like that. We'll move on to our second last song of Eurosong, which is Fire by Railta. I will get us started on Fire. I think this is definitely one of the stronger songs of the national final. I think it has those kind of Celtic elements. I think a lot of us have been crying out for a song like this for a really, really long time. I almost wish it leaned a little bit more into those elements than it does. I've always kind of cried out for something like with a Planet or like an Enya feel to it. And this definitely is moving in that direction, but I don't think it takes me entirely to the place that I want to go. I really enjoy this song, but I worry that the chorus lets it down a little bit because it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then it is just kind of the one word repeated. And it's a beautifully kind of produced song, and it's really well done. Kind of like the whole thing is captivating, especially that bridge in final chorus. I think it's absolutely mesmerizing. But just feel that kind of verse, chorus before we get there, it just leaves me wanting a little bit more. In total, I do think this is a really strong song, and I do think there's a very good chance for qualification with this song, if the staging is right. But I just think it could do just a little bit more for me, and it could have leaned into those Irish Celtic elements slightly more. Maybe with the staging, we'll see something like that. I've seen kind of some call-outs for murmur dancers and stuff like that with Railta that I could see maybe that the staging is going to add a little bit more, but just in terms of the sound itself, I would have loved to have seen just a little bit more of a Celtic element in it.
Okay, before I get into my opinion on this song, I do have to state my bias, first of all. So my sister is going to be a dancer on Eurosong for this song, which is very exciting. So of course, I am biased. Like that wasn't always the case. She was only casted maybe 2 weeks ago. So I obviously had opinions of the song before that, and they remain exactly the same. I really like this song. Out of any of the songs that I heard, other than one other, which we'll get to, this really jumped out at me. I think first time I liked it, but the more I listened, I just fell in love with it. I love the Celtic elements. I absolutely agree, Adam, that where it falls down is in the chorus, and it doesn't change up. And it is a criticism that I've heard pretty much across the board with anyone who has listened to it. But I love the verses. I think they're so beautiful. And I think it's going to be a really gorgeous stage show, hopefully. We will see that on the night, obviously. But yeah, if I was to direct this, I would have like a beautiful narrative story that maybe takes the chorus, out of your mind a little bit. But yeah, I really, really love it. And I hope dear God, I hope that at the end, when it gets to that final chorus and bridge, etc., that she just lets go with her vocals and changes it up. One thing that I harken back to a lot is I never got Connolly's entry Midnight Summer Night when it came out, because it was quite similar in that it had lovely verses, but I found the choruses just kind of repeated and never got anywhere. But when you saw Connolly on that stage on Eurosong, it was those final, like, she just let go. She had these gorgeous vocals I never saw coming personally, and it completely transformed the song into something that we all desperately wanted to go to Eurovision that year. So I think this absolutely can do really well. It's just about making the right changes and making the right staging to go along with it. But yeah, overall, I absolutely love this song. I think it was the right choice to feature it in this national final, and it will probably be one of my most played at the end of this season. So what about you, MJ?
I really like Fire. I think I have this second overall. Thinking about Doomsday Blue and, the direction that Ireland might head in following a qualification and a top 10 finish, it's really intriguing to see where they're going to go with that and what they're going to do next. And for me, this and Power Play, which we're going to talk about in a minute, I think are the best choices. And I think that Fire would be a really interesting choice because, like you guys have said, it's got those real sort of Celtic influences. That's not something that we've seen from Ireland at Eurovision in a good while. And I think it is something that, you know, a wider European audience would respond really well to. If you think about these songs that have sort of the cultural sort of stamp on them, they always tend to do quite well, and people always really like seeing that. And I do think that if we're thinking about wider votes and not just kind of neighbourly sort of friendly votes, that might be a really good direction to go in. I do agree that I think the weakest point of the song is how repetitive the chorus is, but equally, and I'm so glad you mentioned Midnight Summer Night, Alex, because when you were talking about, you know, a song that, you know, really comes together live, I was like Midnight Summer Night, and then you mentioned it, and I was like, yes. Because I agree. I think that ultimately what pulled that together was what Connolly showed that she could do live. And I think that if they do something a little bit different with this in the studio, it could really sweep up some votes. And listen, a song doesn't need to be the finished article to win its national selection. If we even look at Doomsday Blue, you know, the contrast between that when it won Eurosong to that when we saw it in Malmö was enormous. And
yeah, head and shoulders above.
Yeah, it just needs to do well enough to get over that kind of hurdle. And then you have the budget, you have the time to get into a studio, give that chorus a bit of a revamp, think about what you're going to do live on that stage in Basel, and you're away. I think this has a really good chance, personally.
I suppose my one worry is, I mean, we kind of talked about how Europe does respond well to people adding kind of like cultural elements into their songs. I do think that rings true with a lot of the Eastern countries. But when you look at France with Boulen or Spain with Aya, sometimes I don't think that reflects as well in the Western countries when they try and do that. Now, I think Ireland is and it's a very different song than Aya or Boulen. But I do worry that maybe the addition of the cultural elements tends to work better for Eastern countries than it does Western countries at Eurovision. But that's just a little hot take. We'll move on then to the final song in Eurosong this year, and that is, of course, Power Play by Bobby Arlo. This song needs to go to Eurovision. The production on it is absolutely amazing. It's so my kind of music. It's giving, like, it's like brat be thug, I think is like the best way of describing Bobby Arlo. It's exactly the right direction that Ireland should go in. It's keeping up the momentum of Doomsday Blue, in my opinion, with the semi-final that we're in, with the songs we already have, with the countries that are in our semi. I think this would be pretty much like a locked-in qualifier. I think V has shown already that artistically, visually, they're going to do something very, very good on stage. I would have full faith in whatever Bobby's artistic vision for Power Play is. And I'm so, so excited to see this live. Out of all of the 6 songs, this is the one I'm really, really excited to see live. So I'm just absolutely buzzing to see Bobby just absolutely nail this. And I really, really hope we send this to Basel, because it would be yet another Irish entry that I would be so, so proud to be our entry. I will let you join in the Irish fan service of Power Play, hopefully.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love this song. It seems like someone has been listening to our prayers in Ireland. I mean, me and you, Adam, we both love Charlie XCX. We both love Bambi.
That's right.
It is like it is the best like concoction. It's like someone has put my favorite elements of music this year and put it into a cauldron, and Bobby Arlo has jumped out of it and will be going on to the Eurosong stage. Such a fantastic entry. When I listened to the list of songs the very first day, this jumped out. It was the one that I actually had no worries, no notes. It was perfect. I completely trust their vision as well as a team. If you see Bobby's press photo that they released, oh my God, it's gorgeous. Like so editorial. Even on Bobby's Instagram, it's so editorial. Everything's thought through.
The fit's always eat.
Yeah, even if you look at their behind the scenes videos, I'm pretty sure Bobby had Farmer running around London for a day, jumping on buses, jumping on cars, saying, "Can I get in your van for a photo shoot?" Just thinking so outside the box, but the end result was gorgeous, perfect, exactly what we want. And that was probably on a much smaller budget than what the team will have. So I'm just so excited about this entry. The only worry I have for Bobby is if her vocals will be reflected as they should on the Eurosong stage, because we know that studio is not the best for vocals, and it's a lot of the time not even down to the artist. It's not even necessarily down to the Eurosong team. It's more so just not purpose-built for what Eurosong is doing there.
Power plays a very loud song, you know what
Yes.
I mean?
Exactly, it's loud and there's kind of vocal changes on it, and I think out of all the songs, this is the one that maybe could be hindered the most, because if you don't have the right production in the studio, I just hope that they do her justice, because I know that she can sing and the team is fantastic. I can't wait to see what visuals they have. We had an Eirevision Live last week and her creative designer was in the chat and we asked for any hints. And he said it's going to be very conceptual and there's already been Easter eggs, which I think, this is my guess, is something to do with swords. I'm thinking maybe, Chapel Roan's, was it her VMA's performance? I'm like, maybe something like that. I think it could be along those lines, just guessing. Can't wait. In summary, fantastic entry. I just hope that the Eurosong studio doesn't let her down, because the Irish people, we deserve this song. We've been waiting for this song. We had Bambi and we want to keep that going. There's nothing worse than going back to where we were. We know the pain of years and years of NQs. It is just no fun for anyone. It's no fun for the artist. It's no fun for RTE, and it's no fun for viewers. So please, I just hope they do her justice. What about you, MJ?
Oh my God. Coming straight out the gate with this as the first song that we heard for Eurosong, I felt sorry for everyone else in a way, because I was like, okay, that's the standard and it's the first song that we heard. I don't know what drugs Bobby has laced this song with, but I am addicted to it. I can't stop listening to it. It's my most listened to song this month. It's definitely a bit of me. I love my hyper pop. I listen to this song when I need to get hyped up for anything. This needs to go to Eurovision. I think that this is the song that Eurovision fans are going to respond the best to out of all the songs we have in the selection. If they can get the staging right, I could see this getting another really good result like we saw with Bambi last year. And this feels like the natural successor to Doomsday Blue. It's not the same kind of music. And people saying, but this is Bambi 2.0, that's just lazy. Like, it's not. They're very, very, very different stylistically. But it feels like the natural successor. It feels like the direction, for me, that Ireland should be heading in, really. I agree with you, Alex. I am worried about this live, not because I don't think Bobby can do it. I think that Bobby clearly has a really strong concept. But with music in this kind of genre, there's a lot of, moving parts and a lot more opportunity for it to not transcend as well if the sound mixing isn't absolutely locked in. You haven't just got someone standing there belting a big, beautiful ballad. You've got a lot more things going on. And I just really, really, really hope that those things are showcased in the way they should be so that it doesn't fall flat. I am so excited to hear this in the studio. I'm going to be cheering so loudly. And I'm so excited to see what the staging is. Obviously, Bobby talked in the Eirevision interview about Irish hooligans. I'm just so intrigued. And on a personal level, Bobby just seems like so much fun. I wanna do shots with Bobby at the after party because she just seems
Yes.
like a guaranteed
Yes.
laugh. That is my kind of gal, Bobby Arla.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to see where she goes from here because Bobby has actually been on my wish list for a while. Back last year, I remember Eirevision had put out a post being like, tag your favorite artist that you want to see apply for Eurosong 2024. And I had actually tagged Ailsa in that and also Bobby Arlo. So
Wow.
it's,
That's
I know,
incredible.
I'm 2 for 2. I you know what, of like, hire me RTE. So I'm just so excited to see this. She's just, some of her other songs, well, her discography in general is absolutely incredible. Bobby for Basel for me. Do we need to ask who everyone's winner is, or are we all Bobby for Basel?
I think
Bobby for Basil,
right now
100%.
I think we're all Bobby for Basil right now.
That's our personal winners. Who is our predicted winners?
Okay, I think it's gonna be a throw up between Bobby and Samantha Mumba. Railta could be in there, maybe Niall in the mix, but I think it will come down to the wire, down to the public once again between maybe Samantha and Bobby. I would just about predict Bobby will just inch her out, but I definitely, because of Samantha's fame in Ireland, I really, really foresee her doing well with the public. And I think also, the panel, the national panel who are voting on this will also be somewhat influenced by, how much they know about her vocal ability, her experience, that they may take that into account and it may influence them to put her higher. Now, again, that's not me accusing them of favoritism at all. It's more so just, it is the reality that if you're in the industry, they're going to know who Samantha is, no matter what. Every single person on that jury nationally is going to know who she is. That could help her. And then I think international jury probably won't reward her. And then the public, I think, will reward her somewhat, no matter what. So my predicted, if I had to say, it's going to be Bobby, but I think it's going to be challenging for any of them to beat out Samantha.
I am gonna predict Bobby just because I don't want to voice anyone else. It's part prediction, part manifestation ritual at this point. Bobby for Basil, but I really do think that we're gonna see a really positive response to this if all the pieces fit together and work the way that I think they should.
Yeah, I'm going to echo both of what you guys have just said. For me, I think Bobby is going to just take it at the wire. I do think Samantha is her biggest competition in terms of just how well known Samantha is. Not even just within the jury, but like just in general, she is a massive, massive name in Ireland. Still 25 years on, Samantha Mumba is a household name in this country. And even for the likes of me and Alex, who were a little bit too young to remember Samantha at her prime, we all knew who she was, growing up and stuff. So I think that's definitely going to play into things. I do think Bobby's going to take it just about if everything comes together on the night, because I think we've seen before the Irish public do vote on what is the strongest performance on the night. They did go with Bambi in 2024. I think without the mass kind of stan voting that Wild Youth got, Connolly would have won that televote, and then Brooke won the televote in 2022. So we have seen that the best performer on the night does usually take the top points. So I'm just hoping everything comes together, because I will be insufferable if this is our song in Basel. Qualifying is, that's not even a question. I think we're a dead-on qualifier. And then it's just a case of how well we can do in the final. And if I'm being honest, if the staging is right, I can predict us getting another top 10 result, and kind of the sky's the limit from that point. So yeah, I think this is a great year to be an Irish Euro fan yet again. Before we wrap up, Alex, where can we find yourself socials wise, and then what else do we have coming up for Eirevision in the lead up to Eurosong?
Yeah, so you can find me at Alex Basmati on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm also, of course, a member of the Eirevision team. So we're all over Spotify, Twitter. We're now on YouTube. So we do have a visual element now. We did have interviews with all of the acts if you want to have a listen to them or watch them. And yeah, we've got some good content coming up. We should have also a Eurosong special where we get, of course, Louise and Connor, but also special guests such as ESC Tom, who I adore, and also, if you know Glasgow and Melfest Mihal, and a couple of others giving their opinions. You may hear me repeat some of these same opinions on there, but if you would like more, because I know how I am just like consuming all the Eurosong content right now. So if you want even more, you can go follow them over there. But thank you guys so much for having me on. I could talk about Eurosong every single day, 24 hours. It's my favorite subject because we're finally actually doing well. So no better people to chat about it with than both you and MJ and Adam. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. And MJ, in the lead up to our other national finals, we have another episode coming up very soon. Do you want to let the good people know what is coming up also this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Hot on the heels of this episode, we'll also have our Vidbeer episode coming through very soon with everyone's most opinionated Euro fan and chaotic, fantastic YouTuber, really close friend of the pardon of the pair of us personally. ESC got him, and I know he's very excited to talk about Vidbeer with us. So keep your eyes peeled for that too. And we will,
he truly is the Alex Basmati of Ukrainian
Slavic Basmati.
Yes, get that on a t-shirt.
We will also be starting spaces, and we probably will have already started them by the time this episode comes out. We'll be back to doing our Sunday rundown because February is when we get more national finals than you can shake a stick at. Silly season. Yeah. I'm already exhausted and it's not even started yet.
Thank you guys so much again for tuning into the pod, and we will see you guys very, very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Run into the George.
Yeah.